Hey, this is Jordan Chin, and I am the composer and sound designer for Monster Train. I'm going to talk a little bit about what went into the sounds for Seraph, who is our final boss in the game. We worked with the very talented voice actor Michael SCHWALBE for the voice of Seraph. We told him that we needed it to sound as ferocious and as bird-like as possible. If you've played the game before, you'll know that many of the enemies in Monster Train are these sort of avian-inspired angelic creatures, and Seraph is the most intense.
Okay. Seraph. Prep.
After we recorded with Michael, I took the raw recordings and opened up my project file and started to preview through some of the takes that I thought fit Seraph the best. These were some of the ones that we had for his spawn sound, and a few different ones for when he casts his spells. Every creature in Monster Train also makes sounds as they're about to attack. So these were some of the ones, the grunts that we had for Seraph. And some of the sounds for when they are hit. Lastly, we have a sound for when the creature is defeated on death. Alright, so right off the bat, we had some amazing source material to work with. But the goal here was to try and make these creatures sound as far from human as possible. So the first thing that I did was I made a clone of the original recordings and pitched them down slightly to create a slightly deeper copy. And then what I did was I stacked them on top of the original to create kind of the basis for Seraph's voice. So at that point I felt like we were headed in the right direction, but I wanted to push it a little bit further. So one of the things that I decided to do was apply a vocoder and some other pitch modulation creative effects on top of it just to make it sound even less human. This is what it sounds like after that process. And lastly, what we decided to do was kind of place it in the physical space, make it feel like it was in a train or kind of enveloping you, so that every time Seraph said something, it was kind of all around you. We did this by applying reverb, delay echoes, messing with the stereo width of it. The end result sounded like this. So at that point I felt like I was happy with the way that Seraph sounded, and I applied the same treatment to all of the different takes that Michael had done. Then for the final death, added a little bit of extra spice with another take on top, just as it would be the final sound that you'd hear after winning the game. So the next step after we got our voice down was to incorporate some Foley. For all of the creatures in Monster Train, I tried to include little things to help the player understand what these creatures looked like and what they were doing. For Seraph, one of the signature things about his look, for me, was the large fanned-out wings. So I used the sound of a large piece of canvas fabric, kind of like a large tarp, flapping, to create what felt like an enormous wing. And because he has 6 of them, I applied some different reverb, echo, and stereo width tricks to kind of create the illusion that it wasn't just one, but it was many wings flapping in quick succession. So together with the voice, it sounds like this. So at that point I felt we were getting closer, but you know, this was Seraph and it was the final boss, and I wanted to make something really special about it. So I started searching for different ways that I could juice it up a little bit, just kind of incorporate some unexpected source materials to make it just a little bit more special. So I ended up using things like some eerie whispers, synthesizers, these sort of pterodactyl-like screechy sounds, ultimately to create the final product, which is this. And I applied these types of things to other parts of it as well. This is the spell casting. Attack prep. And on hit. Finally, the last sound that you hear after beating the game would be this. So at that point, I hope that, you know, I had done the character justice. I hope that I was able to create something that was a little bit unique and that felt rewarding when you defeated him. Thanks for watching.